Imagine this, living on a planet with a moon that is just the right size and the perfect distance away to completely block out the sun. Sounds like a scene from a sci-fi movie, right? Well, guess what? That's our sci-fi planet. We are lucky enough to experience total solar eclipses, a cosmic coincidence so rare and so breathtaking that if aliens did exist, they might list Earth as a top tourist destination just for this. Now, we have the chance to witness one of these with our own eyes in just a few weeks on April 8th, 2024. And in this video, we're gonna dive into the magic, well, science, of total solar eclipses, including how they happen, what you'll experience, where to watch this next one, and of course, how to safely view it. I'm an aerospace engineer turned science communicator bringing space to you. I do all the research and package it up into a nice little explainer so that you can stay up to date and keep learning even when you're busy. Okay, now back to eclipses. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes in between the sun and the earth, partially or fully blocking out the sun's light and casting a shadow onto Earth, like a celestial photobombing. But wait, the moon passes in between the sun and the earth once every month or every 29.5 days, right? So why don't eclipses happen every single month? It's because all three celestial bodies, the Earth, Moon, and Sun, all have to execute a perfectly choreographed celestial dance in order for an eclipse to happen. First, the moon has to cross between the sun and the earth on the same plane. The moon is orbiting Earth at roughly a 5-degree angle off the equator. So usually when the moon is between the sun and the earth, every new moon that is, it's not lined up with the sun on the same plane to cast a shadow onto Earth. The moon's shadow is just lost to deep space, either too high above Earth or too low below it. But twice a year, everything lines up perfectly. In any given year, we could get anywhere from 4 to 7 eclipses, but it's usually 2 solar and 2 lunar. But even then, we don't get that many total solar eclipses, so why is that? Well, for starters, the moon has to be the right size in the sky. The moon is orbiting Earth in an elliptical path, so sometimes it's closer to Earth and sometimes it's farther away. To see a total solar eclipse, the moon has to be big enough in the sky to cover the entire sun. When it's farther away from Earth, it's too small in the sky and you'll only see an annular solar eclipse. But not only that, there's definitely an element of right place, right time that we have to factor in. A total solar eclipse does happen somewhere on Earth roughly every 1.5 years, but 70% of the Earth is water, so you automatically only have a 30% chance of seeing it on land. An even smaller chance that you'll see it on the same continent or without having to travel too far, and an even smaller chance that you'll somehow live within the path of totality. In fact, total solar eclipses are so rare that on any given place on Earth, it only occurs once every 375 years. This year's eclipse is going to be so much better than the one in 2017 for so many reasons, starting with how many people will be able to view it. In 2017, only 12 million people lived within the path of totality, but this year, nearly 32 million people live within the path of totality, and 150 million people live within 200 miles of it. But not only that, 99% of people in the United States, including in Hawaii and Alaska, will be able to view a partial solar eclipse without having to travel. However, I will take this moment to highly encourage you to travel if you can, because even if you live where it's 99% totality, that extra 1% makes the sky 10,000 times darker. And I made the mistake in 2017 of thinking, I live in 99%, I don't need to travel for the extra 1%, and man, do I regret it. But thankfully, we have this year to make up for that mistake, or else I'd have to wait until 2044. Have I convinced you yet? The eclipse will cross over Mexico before entering the US. In the US, it'll cross over Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. I told you it was going to be viewable by a lot of people. And in Canada, it's going to cross right next to Toronto and then also in Montreal. The eclipse will also have a longer period of totality this year, up to 4 minutes and 28 seconds compared to 2 minutes and 42 seconds in 2017. You can check the specific schedule and duration at your location at the link in the description. But wait, it gets even better. The sun goes through a natural, regular 11-year cycle of more and less solar activity like flares and sunspots. In 2017, we were approaching solar minimum, so the least amount of solar activity. But this year, we're approaching solar maximum, which means that the coronal activity is going to be brilliant and so much more than it was in 2017. Which brings us to what to expect during the eclipse. And if you only take away one thing from this video, it's that you need to pay attention to your entire surroundings, not just the sky. Well, that and that safety is really, really important, but hold that thought. So first, let's look up what's happening with the moon and the sun in the sky. The eclipse starts with the moon slowly nibbling away at the sun's disk, a phase known as the partial eclipse. Again, you'll be able to see this part in much of the US. But if you're in the path of totality, right before the moon completely covers the sun, you'll start to see what are called Baily's beads. These happen because the moon is mountainous, so the sun's light is peeking through the moon's rugged valleys around the edges. And then there's the diamond ring effect, a single or sometimes double bright flash of light both right before and right after full totality. During full totality, keep looking up because you're gonna see a pearl-tinted halo. This is the sun's corona we just talked about, this twisted, magnetically active outer atmosphere that is usually hidden by the bright intensity of the sun's surface. And remember, we're in a period of solar maximum, so this is gonna be the best eclipse ever. Let's talk about eye safety for a second. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot look at the eclipse without specific solar eclipse glasses. I've linked them in the description, but if you happen to get them elsewhere, just make sure they meet this international safety standard. Now, what's going on around you? Well, first, you might start to notice that animals and even plants start getting into their nighttime routines as if the sun is setting in the middle of the day, because essentially that is what's happening. It's a phenomenon that scientists have been studying for a very long time. Birds returning to their nests, crickets beginning their nighttime chorus, and even flowers closing up. You'll also feel a noticeable drop in temperature, roughly 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll see a 360-degree sunset during totality, caused by the light from the sun in areas outside the path of totality. The moon is moving away from us at 3.8 centimeters every single year, which means that the first total solar eclipse happened 1 billion years ago, and they'll stop happening in about 600 million years. We're also the only planet in our solar system where you can actually see these. Curiosity took this photo of Mars's moon Phobos crossing in front of the sun, and as you can see, Martian eclipses are comparatively pretty lame. The odds of this happening in our galaxy in our lifetimes and everything lining up perfectly is so low that yes, if aliens did exist, they would probably list this as one of their top wonders of the galaxy. I'm going to be your very own eclipse reporter for this event because I'm going to be there in person on the ground in the path of totality, so be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date, and I hope you have a very happy eclipse.